Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning. Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Good morning, right?
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
It's a beautiful Thursday morning up here.
Right, we're at Thursday already.
I know, almost the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, it was a short week, so.
That's right.
All right. And we're going to get into our weather forecast, and we've got Ronald Gordon on the line. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
All right, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, thank you.
All right, let's get right into our weather. What does our general situation look like?
It continues relatively moist. At the moment, there's not much rain across the country, but we are looking at some activity offshore that will move in today. So relatively moist conditions. For today, we're expecting cloudy skies at times. A few showers in the south this morning, and then spreading to central areas this afternoon and tonight.
Okay, and our winds?
Winds are out of the east and northeast at 10 to 20 knots. Sea conditions moderate to rough, and the small craft caution remains in effect.
All right, and let's talk about the temperatures for today.
For today, highs will be about 82 along the coast, inland 86, and if you're up in the mountain Pine Ridge, about 76 Fahrenheit. And for tonight, lows of 77 along the coast, 69 inland, and 64 in the mountains.
Okay, and our outlook as we head into Friday and the rest of the weekend?
Tomorrow, there'll be a few showers lingering around, especially over southern and central parts of the country, decreasing tomorrow night, and then by weekend, we're expecting mainly fair weather conditions.
Okay, well, that's something to look forward to. Right.
Yeah.
Well, Ronald, thank you so much for that update.
Can I just add the fire forecast?
Oh,
if you
yeah,
don't mind?
absolutely.
In terms of fires, the recent satellite imagery that we're looking at do not show any significant fire hotspots at the moment. We expect that to be the case again tomorrow, but then as conditions become drier over the weekend, the risk of fires will increase.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that important update.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, great, and you have a great day.
Same to you.
All right. Bye. All right.
There you have
So
it.
don't let the sun this morning fool you.
No, absolutely. And of course, you know, if you are on the seas or planning a trip by seas, do be aware that there is a small craft caution in effect because these seas might get a bit rough.
That's right. Okay, so we're going to keep things moving this morning and get into some motivation to get the day started. So that means it's time for Or Eye Opener. Taken from dailyom.com, it goes like this. Doing things we don't want to do or that scare us creates flow in our lives and allows us to grow. Most of us have had the experience of tackling some dreaded task, only to come out the other side feeling invigorated, filled with a new sense of confidence and strength. The funny thing is, most of the time when we do them, we come out on the other side changed, and often wondering what we were so worried about or why it took us so long. We may even begin to look for other tasks we've been avoiding so that we can feel the same heady mix of excitement and completion. We all have at least one thing in our life that never seems to get done. Bringing that task to the top of the list and promising ourselves that we will do it as soon as possible is an act that could liberate a tremendous amount of energy into our lives. Whatever it is, we can allow ourselves to be fueled by the promise of the feelings of exhilaration and confidence that will be the natural result of doing it.
This is an interesting eye-opener. I do like the message, and of course, I think we've all been in this situation before and this is probably something I can probably, if I think hard enough, I'm sure I can think of a task or something that I don't want to do
you
right
just don't
now.
want to say it out loud.
I know. If you gave me a few seconds, I'm sure I could think of something that I've been putting off, or something that you're just nervous about doing and you don't want to do it and you're dreading. And it's true what it says, because when we are in those situations and we do actually push ourselves and go in there, first of all, you do get that feeling of, okay, well, this wasn't as bad as I thought, and, why was I so scared? Yeah. And then, of course, there's the aftermath where, you grow and you learn from the experience, and you learn to make the best of it and use it as something that you can really, that's something beneficial to you. And I thought about this just the other day, actually, and I'm still going in my mind thinking, I just tweeted, because I tweeted about this a few weeks ago, and I said that, I finally did something that I was putting off for 3 weeks, and it took me less than 15 minutes to do, and I'm like, if you think I'm going to learn from this, probably not.
Okay, so the eye-opener is not.
No, it does, because I think, it's true. It's like, I think that with that said, it's something that you do have to use your previous experiences to push yourself to jump into the new stuff. Yeah. And, I was joking and stuff when I was tweeting about it, but it's something that you do have to keep in mind. Yeah. And it can be fun, and you end up learning and growing, so it's definitely good to push yourself and get out of your comfort zone every once in a while.
Yeah. No, it's important. I mean, how else will you grow if you don't try out new things? Yeah. And I think that's kind of the fear that comes with it. You maybe don't have prior experience to be able to tell you or guide you on what to do. You maybe aren't able to know the clear expectations or the results in the end. But there is, what really struck me was the talk of the feeling that comes after. And it comes, I think, for some people at least, with just a simple completion of task, but even more so when it's one that you've been putting off, or you perhaps had a lot of dread about doing it. Maybe it's just a chore that you don't like to do, and you complete it and you're like, that's out of the way. Or it can be something bigger. It could be learning something new, tackling something that seems extremely difficult, or maybe it's going to challenge you. But I think that the key part here is looking at the reward that comes from finally doing it, and how much it feels like a bigger win than just doing the things that you already know you can accomplish.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that especially when it's tasks or even some chores, like you said, or something even professional that perhaps may not be that urgent in the moment or when it starts. Yeah. But then, the more you keep putting it off, that snowball effect starts to happen. And I'm thinking, of course, I'm thinking right now, one example that I can think of easily is laundry. That, you may not want to do it. Like right now, it's like, oh, well, I can push this off another day or something. And then next thing you know, that pile of clothes just gets bigger and bigger. And then you're dreading doing it. And then finally, when you do, you're like, all right, fine. And then you're like, first of all, you think like, why did I put this off so long? Then you think, why am I now giving myself so much work? Yeah. And then you, again, like I said earlier, use it as a learning experience. And that's just one thing that's pretty mundane and that we can all relate to. But I'm sure that we've experienced several levels of that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's our eye opener for this morning. A great reminder to challenge yourself and go and do the things that you don't want to do. Do it today, this morning. Put it on the top of your priority list if that's what you do each morning. Or make sure you don't put it off another day. And
there's also that thing that says that if you have something to do and it will take you less than 5 minutes, you should just do it immediately, because if you put it off, then it builds in, because it builds in your mind too, right? Because that's also it's probably the biggest thing to overcome when trying to jump into something like that.
Yeah, I think it's mostly in the minds of procrastinators.
Oh yeah, like me.
All right, we got to keep moving into our show for today. And we are going to be having 2 conversations.
Yes. And so our first conversation, we'll be speaking with the Prime Minister. Prime Minister John Briceño is going to be joining us via Zoom to discuss a lot of the national issues that have been at the forefront of people's minds. And we're going to be talking about the government's performance after 4 months in office.
All right. And then, to close off our show for today, we're going to be talking to representatives of the Belize Water Services. So they're trying to get people to to pay the balance that they have on outstanding bills. So they're going to have an amnesty program that they're going to be rolling out, and we're going to tell you all the details about it in the final part of the show.
Yeah. And we are going to get all that started. But before we take our first break, we do have some birthday shout-outs to give, or one, I should say. When I was looking at it, because we've got a very long name this morning, so I was thinking that it was two people. But no, from all of us here at Open Your Eyes and Channel 5, we want to wish a very happy birthday to Crystal Aliyah Shadia Young, who is turning 19 today. So happy birthday, Crystal. We hope you have a great day and many, many more.
Yes, and I do have a special birthday shout out as well. My nephew, Luca Martinez, is celebrating his birthday today. And I want to say a happy, happy, happy birthday to you, Luca. Love you so much, and looking forward to celebrating. Of course, that comes from your aunt and everyone else here at Channel 5 as well. All right, so that's our birthday shout out for this morning. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Prime Minister John Briceño as we talk about some of the pressing national issues and, of course, the 4-month anniversary of being in office.
If we are only as strong as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us, then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something, the Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. We are stronger together. The Belize Bank. Our country. Your bank.
Es un hecho que puedes obtener servicios ilimitados con Smart. ¿Cansado de que se corte la línea cuando más necesitas estar conectado? Es un hecho que cuando te suscribes al plan de Smart Plus, obtienes llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Y también es un hecho que te puedes suscribir con un grupo de 5 miembros al plan Smart Share y hasta 40 miembros al plan Smart Enterprise para llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Smart tiene los verdaderos planes ilimitados. Es un hecho. Sé Smart y vive de forma Smart.
Oh my God, she drunk. No hurry, I got this. Goodness. Oh my gosh, it's the Alice.
Being the hardest. The hardest. But you had way more than 2 drinks tonight, love, which is a legal limit to drive. What about you? Can you drive?
Well, I was drinking soft drink all night, so I can drive her home. Aw, thanks, Bree. Of course, Tricia. You know I got you. You're my girl.
That's what I like to see. Friends don't let friends drive drunk. Because you can't replay in a real life. Stig says so. Can't replay in a real life.
Reduce your risk of viral illness like the flu or the coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water or with an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing or sneezing with a tissue. Throw away, then wash hands immediately. Avoid close contact with anyone who has the cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or nearest health center and share your travel history. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health.
Kadile sa Albert Interno Bay?
Inita nomada, na ba santi go lida ligabri, asa talida l'escola abro hatia. Afiat na lo ni la mege do.
Time out. Weri hali anigi beli habusa rogrigi ya wena mohaya hagamro duniwa irahia. Baro bada ayano haba hama bisanigu. Demele badugunile bide haba lida leredoroniwa hagamro duniwa irahia.
Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
And we're back. And if you're joining us now, we are just getting our first conversation for this morning started. As we said earlier, we have the honor of the Prime Minister joining us this morning to discuss some national issues. And joining us now via Zoom is the Honorable John Briceño, the Prime Minister. Good morning.
Good morning, Gavin. Good morning, and Marlene. Good morning. As always, quite a pleasure to be on Open Your Eyes. So once again, thank you so much for inviting me this morning.
And of course, thank you for accepting our invitation. And it is, of course, always a pleasure to have you on our program. So today, being March 11th, marks 4 months since your government was elected to power by the people of Belize. And we can start just by very generally sort of discussing what those 4 months have been like for you and your government, and how you sort of rate your performance before we get into some of the specifics.
You really want me to rate myself? I don't think that's a fair question. But seriously, I did not realize really today, March 11th, and it's 4 months. But I think, Gavin, it would be remiss on my part if I don't start off by thanking the Belizean people who once again came out to the polls and gave us an even bigger mandate last week, Wednesday, at the municipal elections. We actually won out of the 67 seats. We won 65, something that has never been done since independence. And even with the margins that were so huge. And, you know, I'm kind of upset with my colleagues in St. Ignacio Santa Elena because we lost the mayorship by a little over 50 votes and Mr. Palmer by 10 votes. So, you know, it could have been a clean sweep. But we have to take what we have and start out by being very grateful to the Belizean people and to fully appreciate or trying to understand the tremendous confidence that have been given to us, and one that, you know, humbles me and at the same time make me realize that the Belizean people expect a lot from us, and we must never forget that. We must forget that we won by these great numbers and that we have this mandate, and just remember that that just how they are giving us that support, that can quickly go away if we don't do what is right. But as to generally, the first thing that was upon us, we said that there were 4 major things that we wanted to start with immediately. One was to be able to reduce COVID, the spread of COVID. Secondly, to try to get the economy going and to be able to get people back to work. The third one, the issue of corruption that was confronting the nation. On COVID, I think that everybody must accept that we have been very successful. What we did, we got out of the way. We allowed the doctors, the professionals, to lead this charge. We did not have, you know, every Monday, you know, as Prime Minister spending 3-4 hours and then having long press conferences. We got out of the way. And it's ironic, and Marlene, you would like to hear this best wishes to you, Marlene, to your, you know, Women's International Month. And it took a woman to get in and to fight to flatten the curve. We, as I always say, we are grateful to Dr. Manza when he was on, but the point is that he was unable to flatten the curve, the COVID curve. We brought in Dr. Melissa Diaz Musa, and she then, with her team, in just about 3 months, managed to break down that curve from over 5,000 persons being affected to under 100. She pushed the education campaign, the issue of the mask, the social distancing. She made the tough decisions, and we supported her in coming to almost a lockdown, even through Christmas. And now we're seeing the results. So I'm very happy about that. So that I think we've done very well. We started the vaccines. We got 1,000 from Barbados. We got 25,000 from India. Another country has promised 30,000 more, but we won't announce it until next week, or within a week or two when the first batch comes in. Sometime this month, we are going to get from the COVAX facility that we have with the UN, another 100,800 vaccines. So we are on our way of starting to vaccine our people so that they can start to get back to as normal a life as we possibly can. On the economy, we said that we knew that we had to address it. We knew that there was a crisis. Well, we did not realize how bad it was, because government finances are, I wish I could use the right word, I can't on TV, but it is really bad. Think bad, it's a lot worse. But we said that we had to get going. We said we're going to work in agriculture on the 11th, on the 12th of November. Our Minister of Agriculture started to work with our farmers, with our cattle ranchers, and started exporting cattle. Today we're exporting cattle, chicken, beef, eggs, right across the border. So we're getting that going. We're working with the other segments in agriculture. We started to fix infrastructure. It was in a bad shape. Our farmers know at least we have not fixed all the roads, but we fixed a majority of them, so that, for instance, our sugarcane farmers are now being able to move their sugarcane to the factory. We opened the free zone. Over 1,000 people are working there. So we went after that. On the and tourism is starting to rebound. It was slow earlier, but now we're starting to see signs where the numbers are going up as Americans are getting vaccinated, and they're seeing that in Belize we have controlled the spread of COVID. And then we need to ask the U.S. Embassy to, I think it's time for them to let that in the U.S. that they do not red flag us anymore, because we have managed to control the spread of COVID, and it is under 100 persons that we have infected at this time.
Yeah.
So with all of these things, just very quickly, Marlene, one more, if I'm allowed to say, is that issue on the anti-corruption platform. We went to the House and presented our a motion that laid out what is our plans. When we were quickly, we've already changed the Public Accounts Committee. We set up a Public Accounts Commission that will working along with and looking over the Contractor General. We are amending the laws to so that judges will have to be able to give their judgments within 6 months. So a number of things, a lot of exciting things that we've been doing.
Of course. And there's you've given us a lot to unpack just in all that you have mentioned so far, and we will come back to that. But I do want to get started. I think, you know, everyone who tunes in this morning, the first thing on their mind, and perhaps the main thing on their mind, is looking at the situation that is unfolding with the unions in the proposed pay cuts. We saw yesterday where the teachers have already responded in the South in hosting their own motorcade and show that they are not open to taking the salary cuts. We saw your interview yesterday as well, where you said that the public servants are in fact the only ones that have not taken a cut, and it says a lot about the ongoing situation. But moving forward and recognizing that there has to be some sort of resolution that will take place, what is the plan from your administration to be able to resolve this issue?
Marlene, it takes me I get no pleasure in presenting the bad news to the teachers and to the Public Service Union. I think they need to be upset with the previous administration. It is Dean Barrow and the UDP that created this crisis. We need to look at what is in front of us. As it is right now, our government revenues disappeared with tourism. We are short of over $300 million. Of every dollar that we're presently collecting, we are using over about 83 cents to 84 cents of that dollar to be able to pay salaries, teachers, and public service. We are borrowing at the rate of about $1 million a day. We have a deficit of over $500 million. Our primary deficit, and your primary deficit is when you can't even pay your light bill. It's at about 9% of GDP. I need to see these numbers so that people can fully appreciate, including the teachers, including the unions. We are going to have a deficit, overall deficit of almost 13%. These numbers are unheard of.
Prime Minister, if I could just, let me get us back to the question here, because the issue is, and I think that when people hear these numbers, we all understand the grave state that we are in when it comes to our economic situation. However, we all understand it because it was public knowledge even prior to the election held 4 months ago, where your predecessor clearly said that this was something that would have had to be put on the table at some point in time. The final conversation about pay cuts took place immediately after the municipal elections, even though I think it was public knowledge that it was coming. But the question is now, you have presented the proposals by several of your ministers so far, and you are clearly hearing the dissent, at least from one union so far, that they are not going to stand quietly and take a pay cut. So how do you move forward? I know that you have marched along with the teachers in the past. You've stood up along with them in their campaigns for fair treatment from the previous administration, and now they will become one of your first opposers based on the proposal that's being put forward.
Marlene, I still stand with the teachers. I still support the teachers. As you know, I said it before, my mother was a teacher, my wife is a teacher, and teachers have played a great influence on my life. So that has not changed and will not change. What we're asking them to do, to sacrifice with us. Everybody has sacrificed. In the private sector, we have an unemployment rate of almost 30%, underemployment of 38%. When you talk to people in the media, some of them are telling me they still have pay cuts of about almost as much as 50%. Everywhere you go, everybody has taken, are making sacrifices. The teachers and the public service will have to make a sacrifice. We could have gone to them and said we need a 20% cut and then bring it down to 10%. But I believe that we have to be open, we have to be honest, and that's what we've been doing. We've been very respectful to them. We showed them the numbers, and as much as they want to strike, what is it that they want us to do? There's no other option.
Well, they have asked for specifics. They have asked for specifics. They have asked for things like getting the staff list, knowing exactly how many public servants there are, what they're getting paid, looking at contract workers, finding out who's under contract with government and what they're collecting. They're also saying look internally at all the new hires that your administration has brought in over time. And of course, from the public, it's also echoed. Look at what the ministers, your very packed cabinet, that they're collecting as well. That's a part of what they're asking.
Marlene, but we've answered all of that. Marlene, we are in the process of giving them those names. The issue about the contracts, the financial secretary has been telling them over and over that's not an issue. On the issue of contracts for contract workers.
Why is it not an issue?
Because technically, teachers are contract officers because they are not directly, because they have a contract with the government to teach. They're not directly hired by the government. But within the government, the numbers are small. It will do nothing to the deficit. And to the new hires, the people that we're getting, we have to hire CEOs. I mean, it's not like we're there just hiring people like crazy. We have not. That is not the issue. issue that we have a $500 million deficit. And some of the things that they want us to do, we will not see any benefit from those actions until months to a year to come. We have a crisis in front of us. And I repeat, everybody has made a sacrifice, and the teachers and the workers and the public service also have to make a sacrifice. You and Gavin and I are paying them from our money. We have taken a pay cut. I have taken a pay cut. And if I have to take another pay cut, I'm prepared to do so.
Well, that's a very fair...
They have not taken a pay cut,
That's
and they will have to do. I don't know what else we can do.
That's a very fair point.
We cannot continue to print money. If we continue to print money, we are going to have a devaluation, or we're going to have hyperinflation, and it's going to be even worse. So it's best that all of us hold hands and do a little bit of sacrifice right now. We're working hard on the economy. We're going to get the economy going.
And that's a key part of moving forward. But coming back to, you as you mentioned for yourself, currently you are under a pay cut. There's this really great poem that came out last year that talked about the COVID realities for people. And the line that stands out to me all the time is that we're in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. And I think that that's a part of what is very clear. And so the point is, when they talk about wanting this information, it helps to bring clarity as to what a 10%, what the 10% cut means for your for the contract workers, for the new hires, for top-level government officials, versus, and if you were raised by a teacher, I know you know it's not a lucrative position, where some teachers are collecting very little, or your lower-level public servants as well.
I fully appreciate that, and I understand that, and I feel for them much more than you may think. But we also have to look on the other side. There are people, families, that both of them lost their jobs. Yeah. There's some of them, one lost a job and the other one got a pay cut, and they have to live with what they have. The teachers and the public service union, public service haven't made any kind of sacrifice, and everybody has to have to help us in trying to bridge this gap that what Dean Barrow and the UDP left on us. Dean Barrow knew from April of last year that action needed to be taken, and he could have done it from then and would not have a crisis where we, in 1 year, we are on a deficit of over $500 million. The UDP was reckless, and today all of us, because of their recklessness, all of us have to be paying that price.
So just to be clear, are you open to the idea of adjusting the salary cuts based on how much an individual is earning?
This is what we do. This is what we said to the unions. We need pay cuts of, it is about $60 million.
Yes.
And we told the unions, all right, tell us how you want us to cut. We can start small, but at the lower levels, and then increase the numbers to the higher levels in government. But at the end of the day, we need to get $60 million per year for the next 3 years, and then to get wage 3 years. No increments for the next 3 years. That is what we need to get. How we get to those numbers, then they can tell us. And we've been very open to them. You tell us how you want us to cut, on what bands, at what bands is supposed to be cut. But at the end of the day, this is the amount that we have to reduce the wage bill by. We just met with the IMF yesterday, and it's not going to be a pretty report that they're giving on the finances of the country. And they are calling and Belize and alerting us that we are on a sustainable path, and that if we continue this way, we are going to crash. We'll have to go into a standby arrangement. And should we go under a standby arrangement, the teachers and the unions and the public service is going to be far worse for them, because then they are going then to force the government before they can give us any monies to be able to retrench people. We do not want to fire anybody. It would have been easier to say, okay, let's retrench the government, or let's reduce the wage bill by reducing the amount of employees by 2,000 persons. But we don't want to do that. It's best that everybody sacrifice a little bit as opposed to have 2,000 people out there without a job, and then they can't get a job because the economy is in such a bad state, thanks to Dean Barrow and the UDP.
So what happens if there's a stalemate? What happens if any faction of the union says no?
Well, I don't think that I can. I don't really want to go down that road right now publicly. But we have to move on. We have to present our budget.
Yeah.
Because of the negotiations and the consultations, we've had extensive consultations with everyone so that people can fully appreciate us or what is in front of us or what we're facing as a country. We have to present our budget. And we will have to be able to, at the end of the day, there has to be either the unions tell us to reduce the amount of government workers or to take a pay cut.
And, yes, and on that note, I also wanted to ask, on the issue of retrenchment or the issue of reducing the amount of government workers. That is also something that both the public and the unions have been saying that perhaps they would like some more information on, that perhaps that there are some persons who are currently, on the payroll who may not need to be there, or that there can be restructuring of certain ministries or public servants to lessen the wage bill. So is that also something that you're looking into in actually relieving some people of their duties, if you have to?
We don't believe in retrenchment, Gavin. Retrenchment is a UDP word. And we will do everything possible to protect every single employee in the government. As it is right now, we have been looking in some areas where the UDP had people just sitting there and doing no work. We're looking at that, and where we find them, those people, we will have to be releasing them. But the numbers, will not affect the big picture. The big picture is that we have $500 million that we have to close. Yeah. And letting go 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, 200 persons is not going to answer it. All of us have to do some sacrifice. Yeah. And I wish and hope that the teachers understand that. I take no pleasure in trying to say that we want to reduce their salaries. I wish I could raise their salaries. I'd love to do it. But the point of the matter is that there is no other option that's in front of us. We've said to them that where we can help with talking to the DFC and talking to the National Bank for those that owe there to see if we can defer payments and probably just make interest payments only, whatever it is that we can do to make their life easier. We're prepared to do our part to do so.
Well, I'm sure
everybody has to sacrifice.
I'm sure in the next few days and potentially weeks, because the union or the teachers union sent out a memo yesterday saying that they are going to have a press conference on the 26th. So this will be a conversation that will continue. I do want to move forward onto some other issues, and you mentioned that the ongoing talks with the IMF at this time, and I want to get some information as to where we are with that and what's the direction that we're headed in.
Well, yesterday we were wrapping up the discussions with the mission in chief, and they have given us a draft report. I think will be made public shortly, and it's not a pretty one, Marlene.
I mean, it never is from the IMF. But
no, it's not about but the reality is that what they've been saying is that they have been calling out the previous government for several years that they have to be making adjustments, and those adjustments have not been made. And now, with the hit of COVID, it has shown how dependent we have been on the tourism industry. And that's a fundamental mistake that was done over the past 11 years. Marlene, if you look back right now, we are worse off than we are living at a level of where we were in 1992. In 2008, our deficit was less than 1% of GDP. We did what we had to do when the IMF called us out in 2005. But now the UDP went on a binge. They were like drunken sailors, just drinking and spending money and misspending, the mismanagement, the corruption that took place under the UDP. Well, now all of us have to pay that price. And that is what they are telling us right now, that there has to be made, that we have to make adjustments. They're telling us that our salaries, our wage bill is unsustainable as it is. When we left government, it was, I think it was around $240 million. Presently, it is surpassed 600, going to $800 million. When we left, the pension scheme for the public service was at over 30, a little over 30 million. This new year is going to hit $100 million. We are going to crash.
So
and
the recommendations that you know so far.
They're telling us that we have to change course, or else, you know, in the not too distant future, the peg that we have, the $2 US and Belize to $1 US is going to be stressed, is going to be threatened, and bad things could happen if we don't make the necessary adjustments right now. So I'm hoping that the union, I'm hoping that the leaders in the public service union and the teachers union would explain to the teachers that what we have to do right now is to be able to protect all of us, including their families in the long term. Because if we go on a standby arrangement with the IMF, one of the first things they're going to do is to say your wage bill is too high, you have to fire people and you have to cut salaries, reduce the salaries. And secondly, they are going to raise taxes. And as we mentioned to the union, to the IMF, we are working on our homegrown plan. We're working on increasing the growing the economy. We're working with tourism to get it back going very quickly right now. And in agriculture, we have a number of initiatives that have been taken. A number of investments are coming in. So we're doing that part. But for right now, we're asking the teachers and the public service to do a little bit of sacrifice with us to be able to get out of this crisis. So they are understanding what we're doing, and so they say, okay, my words, not them, but basically, all right, let's see how your homegrown plan is going to work, growing the economy, controlling the government expenditures. We're cutting the goods and services by over 15%. We're trying not to hire people, only where it's absolutely necessary. This myth that we are being hiring a lot of people, that's simply not true. We've been hiring people that we need. A number of people have left to the UDP. Those have to be replaced. The CEOs that were there, as you all know, at the end of the term, all CEOs have to resign, and you either take those ones or you bring in new ones. So it's not as if the wage bill has gone up. The wage bill under the PUP has gone down since we got in. And I think that is very important to point out.
Well, in the future, that's always a conversation I think that's worthwhile exploring, whether maybe we should go back to the permanent secretary model in the first place. But that's aside the point. So you said
but
the
we still
IMF...
have to pay somebody, Marlene. Even if you put the permanent secretaries, we still have to pay them. If we come, it's 6 or half a dozen, it is the same thing.
The IMF report will be released shortly, but while we're talking about the status of the economy, one of the critical points that we've not heard much from your administration so far is the negotiation on the super bond. There's a payment due in a few months, in May, thank you. And clearly, from all you've outlined, we most likely will not be able to make that payment. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So what is the status of the renegotiation?
Well, we have started, well, I don't think we've started the actual negotiations formally, but we have been sending out signals and so to the bondholders that we'll be meeting with them. We just want to finish the budget right now. We want to finish the renegotiation, preparing the budget and also the negotiations with the public service and the teachers. And we want to, so we want to get that out of the way and then to handle the issue of the bond. But I said it even when I was in opposition. I've said it in the National Assembly that there has to be a haircut. There's absolutely no way that we can continue at carrying that burden of over $500 million US. And the only way we can get back to sustainability is by asking for the bondholders to take a haircut. And we're trying to get as big as a haircut as we possibly can to be able to address that one.
So you have a debt recovery team that's working. Who's leading that team?
Well, the debt recovery team is it's just a team of different technicians and myself, along with Ministers Courtney and Ministers Koi. And so we are the ones that are working on putting all of these plans together.
Have you are you utilizing any of the past members of the recovery team, the past PUP representative, Ambassador for Economic Affairs, I think it was, Marcus Pat? Is he involved?
Marcus Pat is involved, but he is involved through the City Group. The City Group is the group that leads the negotiations, and so they are the ones that we have not. They are the ones that will have started that negotiations. We are not paying a cent to anybody as we speak, and it will be based on performance, on the amount of the haircut that we can get.
I'm sure people are questioning what this relationship must be like, given how the Ambassador Marcus Pat left the People's United Party back in 2012.
Well, you can't take these things personal. As far as I'm concerned, we can't take these things personal, and we are very upset with Mark. But we have a job to do. We have to see how we can get the people with the knowledge and the people with the experience in dealing with this in these negotiations to come and to help us. If the former Prime Minister could help, he's welcome to come and help. Obviously, he's a part of the creation of this wreckage, but we're prepared to take on anybody that's prepared to help us. But what we're doing is that as a debt management group, we're working through the City Group, and Mark works along with them, and a number of lawyers that are all already getting everything prepared. We have a job to do.
What's the openness
to financial sustainability, and we will do everything that we possibly can with the less amount of sacrifice on everyone.
You know, and this is part of the tough position that you hold as the leader of the nation, because where you will have to work along with ensuring that the public, the needs of the public are satisfied, you also do have to ensure that when it comes to our obligations, or debt obligations, that we also don't get a bad name out there, that we're just hard pay. We have restructured, we have asked for haircuts. What is the openness from the bondholders at this time?
Well, we have not gotten a haircut. We've only restructured.
Yes.
And basically what the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister did was just kicking the can down the road and not addressing the fundamental issue. And the fundamental issue is that as a country, because they did not grow the economy, if they would have grown the economy, we would have been able to pay our bills. But the economy did not grow. Actually, the economy contracted under the UDP. Under the UDP, we're exporting less than what we were exporting in 2008. So, I mean, they created a financial disaster for Belize. And because they did not know how to address those issues, the bond now has become to the point where it is simply unsustainable. And so now we are saying that for us to be able to pay them, there has to be a pay cut. Most of the bondholders, I believe, did not pay a dollar for a dollar on the bonds. They have been buying it on the cheap. So I don't think that they will be losing per se on their capital. So we believe that they will still be able to make a profit, but of course they'll not be making the obscene profits that they thought that they were going to make, because we simply would not be able to pay them.
Yeah. Well,
And Prime Minister, we of course have a lot more to discuss, but we are for now going to be taking a very short break, and we'll continue the conversation when we come back. So to our viewers, please stay tuned.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that by simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop, it increases your productivity by 26%. And adding a monitor takes it up by 35%. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience with devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands that you can rely on. With collaboration tools such as Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky, your team can stay connected and perform efficiently no matter where they are. Fulltech Systems, your trusted technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Hello? Okay, sure, I'll be there. Hello?
Hi, Mommy. When are you coming home? I really miss you.
Hearing the voice of our loved ones can always lift our spirits and make us feel whole again. With Smart's Twice as Nice promotion, prepaid customers who make 5 minutes worth of national calls on Sundays can enjoy 50% off. Top double on all national calls for the rest of the day. Call your loved ones and enjoy half off all day long. Smart, bringing people together.
Research on the impact of COVID-19 infection on pregnant women is limited. Right now, pregnant women are at higher risk of severe illness than the general population. Pregnancy can affect the way a woman's body handles respiratory infections. If you are pregnant, protect yourself against COVID-19. Wash hands frequently using soap and water for at least 40 seconds. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer if soap and water are not available. Cover cough or sneeze with tissue and throw used tissue in a bin. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces such as doorknobs, counters, phones, and tablets. Practice physical distancing. Work from home if possible. Avoid contact with anyone who has fever, cough, and cold or flu-like symptoms. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth without first washing your hands with soap and water. If you have fever, cough, and feel extra tired, call 0800-MOH-CARE. Help keep Belize safe.
And we're back, and we are continuing our conversation with the Prime Minister of Belize, John Briceño, who is joining us live via Zoom. Prime Minister, we spent a bit of time earlier talking about the economic situation and some of the things that are ongoing, from salary cuts to renegotiating Superbond to IMF talks. But let's bring it home to the people of Belize. One of the numbers I know that concerns all of us is looking at the unemployment and underemployment rates in the country. The last statistics coming out of the SIB, we have over 60,000 people unemployed and over 80,000 people underemployed, which means they're not working a full work week. They may do an hour or more work during the course of the week. This is, of course, a very telling situation as to how the Belizean people, the people that you're leading, how they're living. Let's talk about some of, I mean, how do you plan in the middle of all the other work on your plate? What is the plan to try to get some of these people employed again?
The only way you can do that is by opening up the economy and getting the economy to work. And that's exactly what we have been doing. Mm-hmm. We knew that we had to reduce the COVID spread. We have done that. We knew that we had to get the vaccines and start to vaccinate people. We have done that. We knew that we also have to be working with the people in the tourism sector. We're working with them, and the tourist numbers are starting to increase. And what I'm being told, it seems that we will have a fairly good summer, not as good as before, but a much better summer than what was expected because of the work that we have been doing that. We knew we had to go to the free zone and open up the free zone safely, and we have done that. We knew that we had to get our farmers to be able to sell the, we knew that we had to get our farmers to be able to sell their products. We're working on that. On November the 12th, our Minister of Agriculture started to get our products across the border. As I said right now, we're selling cattle, we're selling pork, we're selling chicken, we're selling eggs, we're even selling chicken and eggs from Mexico, something that has not been done. We're exporting our chicken to Grenada as a start. So we're doing a number of issues to be able, or taking a number of actions and to be able to get people to work. In the government, we have a fast-track investment office that now people that are having problems are coming to us and say, these are their problems, and we are just solving them. On Tuesday, I met with the two main investors of the Key Chapel project. They are planning to do our Four Seasons Hotel. They had a list of issues, about 11 issues, and we sat down and we worked it out. So now they plan to do groundbreaking next month. So it is about getting people back to work. The government cannot hire more people, as you know. Yes. The wage bill is totally out of control. But we also cannot go and fire people. Because if we fire people, we're going to add to that 60,000 people unemployed and 80,000 people that are underemployed.
And you know, in that similar vein, earlier you had said that the previous over-reliance on the tourism industry had been a mistake, and I'm just paraphrasing something, paraphrasing your words. And I'm wondering, is there a strategic plan for investment in other areas that you hope to see immediate results when it comes to the reduction of the unemployment rate?
Well, I got into trouble during the campaign when I had a meeting with the hoteliers, when I said that we cannot continue to allow tourism to control 40% of GDP. And so to be able to change that around, we have to expand agriculture, we have to expand the services like the BPOs and offshore financial sector. And they kind of were taken aback. It does not mean that we are not going to put interest or efforts in the tourism industry. That is a low-lying fruit right now. So with little efforts, we can get the tourism industry going and people working very quickly. But at the same time, now we have to ensure now that agriculture expands and grows even faster. And the Minister of Tourism is doing, of Agriculture is doing a great job in that. This year we're going to have a bumper crop in sugar. We're trying to find a way how we can get citrus going back again. We've been meeting with the people in the citrus, in the shrimp industry. And there again, we're seeing how we can help to set up some kind of refinancing so that they can get back on track. So we're working all around to be able to get agriculture going. And it has grown over the past few months since we got into government. The BPOs, we have to be working more with them, looking at the stock structure, looking at the electricity that they have to pay. That area is growing very rapidly. And we believe that if we do the right things, by the end of the 5 years, we could probably have as many as 20,000 people employed in the BPOs. We're also doing something very innovative, Gavin. We have gone to we're amending the Central Bank Act where we are going to be making available $50 million that we can then lend to companies and businesses that were affected by COVID, but that were successful. Not those that are already on the verge of bankruptcy. We're not going down that road. But we're going to, this money is going to be targeted to tourism, to agriculture, to services, to businesses or companies or industries that will create jobs and bring in foreign currency. So we're doing a number of things, and the only way we can get out of this is to be able to get the economy open once again and growing, and to be able to get people back to work.
And I hear all the examples that you give, and what seems to be the common theme, that while you are growing on some of the current revenue earners or employment opportunities, even things like agriculture, these things don't happen overnight. You introduced this year, with your administration, I should say, the new growth industries, and you know it's also an opportunity. And you look at the potential that we may have for going into new areas and being innovative. I hear you speak very often, and I think it's not to be dismissed, the state of the economy that you inherited. But as I said before, the entire public was aware, and what you've done is, what the administration has done is been able to divulge some of the details. But you campaigned on the premise that you would be able to do something about it. So the question is, what new ideas is the administration bringing forward? What new areas of being able to either increase employment or increase revenue for the country?
Well, Marlene, there's no switch, there's no magic wand. Yeah. We have to work with what we have. We have to work, for instance, in sugar. We need to continue to fight with the CARICOM countries that they can buy our sugar. If they buy our sugar, the prices go up for the cane farmers, and then to work with them to be able to expand and to improve their productivity. We have to work with what we have. Mm-hmm. It's not about something coming from the moon, something new. We have agriculture. And I've been saying this over and over, the farm-to-table program that we have on Plan Belize. We need to work with what we have. We have a lot going for us. We have one of the best tourism products in the world. We need to continue to develop that. In agriculture, we have opportunities in Guatemala, in Mexico, in El Salvador, in the CARICOM Islands. That is why the Minister of Foreign Trade is already setting up his negotiation team that includes the private sector, the unions, the public service, everybody, so that then we can go and negotiate to open our markets. Our new ambassadors have been told it's no longer what Belize, Guatemala is still important. What is more important as it is right now is to bring in investments into Belize, to open markets for Belize. So it is about working with what we have, Marlene. Yeah. It's not about, if we want to bring in, say, we want to do engineers, well, then it will take us some time to develop that. Okay. We can do that, but we have to work with what we have right now. We have to work with the BPOs right now. We have to work with modernizing the legislation for the offshore financial industry. Need to get some financing to our farmers and opening up markets for them. We need to protect our local market for our small farmers. That's why we're saying that, you know, we need to eat what we produce and to produce what we eat. These are the steps that create jobs for people immediately. Yeah. We've opened a free zone. 1,000 people are working.
And you know, I've heard many times in media interviews where people talk of the people being impatient, or Belizean people feeling impatient to start to see the type of change that was promised by your administration. But I'd like to push that a little further and just using numbers when you talk of the unemployment, the underemployment, and also what is being offered in terms of assistance. Because 60,000 is a number, but that's 60,000 individuals or 60,000 families that may not have access to some of their basic needs. And when you talk about working with what you have, there is a great level of dependency on the administration to be able to provide. So what is the existing structure to offer support to these people who are very much, they're not impatient, they're just hungry and very worried?
Well, we recognize that very well every single day. When we talk to our ministers and representatives, they are constantly reminding us that we have to continue to be able to see how we can help people that can't wait. When you're hungry, you can't wait a week. You can wait a day, especially when you have children. So we fully recognize that. All the monies that the Embaro administration, UDP, borrowed for the food program, they splurged it coming to the election, giving it away crazily. There are families that were getting 3-4 bags at a time. There are even children that were getting bags, the grocery bags. The unemployment benefit that we were working on, that should have run at least to March. Again, the UDP just again gave everything away. So we had to start from ground zero. We had made $7.5 million available for the program that's going on until March. And now we want to continue that. Again, reducing the numbers because we want to try to wean people off this as they start to work. As it is right now, the employment numbers have gotten better because now people are getting back to work. People don't want handout. People want to work. But we have to recognize that between now until when they get to work, we have to do something for them. We have the unemployment relief program that we just started out, another loan from the World Bank. That will take us until, I think, July to give some small financial assistance for those that need. I wish we could give to everybody, but we just have to make sure that we give to those that need it most. So we are going to do everything possible to continue the social programs for our citizens.
Prime Minister, in the interest of time, I want to shift gears a little bit, and let's talk about another thing that you had brought up earlier on in our conversation, and that was the anti-corruption platform that your party had run on. And I think that looking at today, one of the things that is in a lot of people's mind is the ongoing commission of inquiry into the sale of government assets. Now, you know, there may be revelations, some of which may be shocking, but at the end of the day, a lot of people are asking, well, where is this going? Is there any hope for recovery of some of the assets? Can we get back anything if there was impropriety? Is there scope for retrieving something to perhaps, and will it have any impact on the larger economic scheme?
Well, certainly, I know that as citizens, we are all kind of frustrated by the whole system that, you know, governments change and we just shave one another and then nothing happens. Well, the idea behind this this commission is for us to be able to have a full investigation and let everybody see what transpired with some of these assets. Once that is done, then the commissioners are going to give a report, and where they see wrongdoings, then that is going to go on to the DPP, because as a government we can't arrest people. It's only the DPP and the police. So we pass that on to the Director of Public Prosecutions, and then she and her team are going to, I'm sure, will be able to review that, and then where they see that any wrongdoing and the laws was broken, then they are going. We hope that they will take legal action. We have done the same thing with Montero. We presented all the information to the police. The police have done some further investigation, and that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the issue of Montero. And now I am being told that then that will be going, if it's not with the DPP, it will be going to the DPP for them to decide what is going to be the next step. Okay. If we can legally take possession of these about these assets, we definitely will. And if if the DPP believes that there are cases that they can be able to take persons that participated in this rip-off of these assets and take them to court, we will not interfere. We will allow the courts to go through its course and to hold people accountable for those that ripped off the Belizean people.
And, you know, on that note, are there also plans for your government to implement measures to perhaps combat some of the reason how we got here in the first place? You know, there are a lot of people who say there's a lot of loopholes. Ministers or CEOs have certain discretions that allow people or that allow certain practices to continue, which does have a big ripple effect. So are there measures that your government is looking to reduce the level of that, and perhaps even, you know, the formal implementation of UNCAC, which is something that has you know, been at the forefront of discussions for several years?
Right. Yes, we have, and we have spelled that out in Plan Belize, the number of actions that we are going to take. But the first thing that we did in the first host meeting, working meeting that we had in December, we laid on the table a motion that spells out what are the steps that we're going to take to be able to address all of these issues, from limiting the powers of the ministers and the public service, to how we're going to combat corruption, the anti-corruption unit commission that we want to set up, how to give more independence to the contractor general and to the auditor general. All of these things have been spelled out, and it's in the National Assembly. Mind you, that is very important, but right now what we have been putting our heart and soul into is the issue of the financial situation crisis that is in front of us. So that has been taking a lot. But let us not forget the steps that we have taken. We've already amended the Public Accounts Committee. The Public Accounts Committee is the only committee that the opposition chairs, and the Public Accounts Committee has the legal mandate to look at the finances of the government, the monies that have been spent, that they can take a close look at what has been done, how it's been spent, and can call in ministers and CEOs and ask for whatever information that they may need to do their job. The problem was that there was only 2 from the opposition and 4 from government in that committee. So the previous government, with Jan Saldiva and St. Patrick Faber, they did everything possible to frustrate the work of the Public Accounts Committee. So what we have done, we have amended the standing orders now to allow 3 senators from the social partners to join the Public Accounts Committee. So with those 3 coming on board, the government does not have an outright majority, and then I believe will allow that Public Accounts Committee to be able to work. That's a fundamental change. And I've been even reminding my colleagues in cabinet, I said, remember that what we have just done, and I know that Belizeans still have not fully appreciated the change in the Public Accounts Committee. We're also set up what we call public contracts. Let me get the right wording. The Public Contracts Commission. The Public Contracts Commission is a commission that will be working along with the Contractor General. As it is right now, the Contractor General is 1 person. But now we're going to have a commission that will be looking at the contracts that comes before the Contractor General. So we're setting other layers of oversight over people in governance. And lastly, the other one is that's very important. We are in the process of amending. We started the process of amending the Constitution so now that judges will be required to give their judgments I think it's within 6 months. I know some people are not too happy about it, and I can understand them, but you know, we cannot continue to allow judgments to take forever for people. So these are some fundamental steps that we've already started to take.
Yeah, but you know, and I do acknowledge, I think especially when it comes to the change in the makeup of PAC, that if they execute their duties responsibly, it can have a big impact on looking at how our public funds are spent. But going back to the issue of UNCAC, and especially as people tune in to the Commission of Inquiry, that's become like Belize's soap opera, because it is so incredulous to hear some of the responses that are being given. And what people want to hear, in addition to the path towards recovery of assets, is also knowing that for sure 5 years from now we won't have another commission of inquiry looking into what your administration may do during this time. And so putting in or rolling out with the implementation of UNCAC is one way that people may feel more secure.
But I think we need to get something clear. UNCAC is not one thing,
Yes.
UNCAC is the United Nations
It's a convention.
Against Corruption, right, which we have already signed on. And incidentally, it was we in opposition that pushed the government to sign on to UNCAC. Now, UNCAC is a series of actions that you take in government. And if you are to look at what we have proposed, those things are reflected in UNCAC. The issues of accountability and transparency.
But it also includes things like building
so that is what it's UNCAC. Yes, it is already in the process of what we do. Setting up an anti-corruption unit that's going to be embedded in the Constitution, that is going to be
providing for autonomy for oversight committees, like you did with PAC, but there are others as well, ensuring that oversight committees are well-resourced and staffed, as you pointed out with the Contractor General, where several of these positions are one-man show. Yeah.
And so we are working, following the process and what UNCAC is requesting, is requiring from us. That is what is Plan Belize is all about. That is what the motion that we set up, that we presented to the National Assembly is all about. There's UNCAC. It's not like that. It's the steps that we want to take to have a transparency, to have accountability, and to try to get rid of as much as we possibly can of corruption in public life.
And knowing the experience that you've had in opposition for as long as you did, I think it's clear that there are some areas where it's a lot easier for corruption to take place. And as you pointed out, you talked about the public contracts, you talked of being able to look at things like PAC. What about procurement processes? This has been a continuous issue that we hear from public servants especially, who are working in ministries, where this is one of the ways that people can deviously milk or public funds for gains of friends and family.
Well, the ones that handle the public, the procurement is the public service, it's not the politician. So that is where the problem is. But what we have done right now, we have already set up a group. We will set up a procurement office. We're going to centralize it. The IDB is going to help us in setting that up. They're going to give us the technical expertise to be able to set up a centralized procurement office, so that then we will not have that waste and that we will not have that corruption. Because what I'm told now is what is happening is that when they buy products from certain businesses, that the prices would go up, and then they buy much more than what they need just to get rid of their contract, or of their budget. So what we will be doing is that all of that is going to be centralized in one area, and so that by doing that, then we can do more bulk buying, and that we can be reducing the cost, the prices that we pay. And of course, we'll also be having a reporting system so that people can see what this procurement center is doing. If they're going to be buying in bulk, that they could be have bidding to see who would be able to give us the best price. Remember also is that we are also aiming to have 95% of government services digitized. And once you do that, that helps with accountability and transparency to people once you start to digitize the system. So a number of things that we're putting in place. But remember, it's only 4 months that we've been in government. UDP was there for almost 13 years, and look at the wreckage that they have created in this country. We are going to fix it, and I can assure you that we're going to be much better off by the end of our first 5-year term.
So let's jump into the other one that is very much in the public consciousness: fuel prices. Zoom helps us a lot. You didn't have to drive here this morning, but people have to put gas in their car. They're over that $10 mark. When you were in opposition, you had a lot to say about how government can help to alleviate this financial pain.
I could remind you. I can tell you right now that we said that we want to, for instance, to keep diesel at not over $9 per gallon, and we do want to do that. But at this point, we are facing a financial crisis in government, and we unfortunately have to be able to, in our proposal to the IMF, we said that we will continue to try to keep the same amount of taxes that we collect from the sale of fuel. As much as we dislike doing that, as much as we, for instance, as much as we hate talking to our public service and to our teachers about a wage freeze and salary cut. But these are things that we have to do right now to be able to cover that $500 million deficit. Once we get through with this, hopefully in the next year or two, then we'll be able to look and we get the economy going and collecting taxes and collecting the taxes more efficiently. We're working right now with customs, with the Belize tax service, so that we can collect what we're supposed to be collecting there or there. Then we can then start to ease and looking at the fuel and making sure that we can start to reduce the price of fuel and to be able to give back the teachers their salaries that was the salary cuts that we did.
And since you mentioned taxes, that's one of the areas that we hear consistently, that it can be a source of additional revenue, going and ensuring that all the uncollected taxes and the seepage that takes place in the system becomes a priority.
I don't think that the issue of the uncollected taxes, it is going to be very difficult to collect because most of these businesses have gone bankrupt. We'll be able to collect a few million, but in the scheme of things, what we have to do is to be able to start to tighten up at the GST, at the Belize tax service, that we be able to collect the right amount of sales tax and the GST that is out there to be collected, that more than anything else, and also at customs to ensure that if you bring in 5 containers, that you pay for 5 containers and not just pay for 2 and then you get away with 3. These are the things that we've been talking with the with the new comptroller, Ms. Leslie, another history of us. Finally, we have a woman managing the customs department. So we're working on all of these things. But we're starting to see an improvement. The revenues are starting to go up, but we're not there as exactly where we want to be as yet. But we're working towards that.
Prime Minister, as we quickly run out of time, one of the, of course, most important things that we do have to talk about is the continued response and management of the COVID-19 pandemic from the health sector's perspective. So can we also talk a bit about the government's plans to continue to manage the pandemic and the rollout, of course, of the vaccines? So perhaps we can talk a little bit about that before we close.
Well, our aim is to be able to get, our goal is to be able to get most of our citizens vaccinated, I think it's by June, July. We're working very difficult, we're doing everything possible to be able to get the vaccines. We just got approved a loan by the, I think it's CDB, if not CDB, it's IDB. It's about $2.5 million US to help us to acquire some more of these vaccines. We're working with everybody, trying to get donations wherever we can. So we want to be able to vaccinate as many people as we possibly can. We expect to vaccinate all the teachers by April, so that we can open up the schools in May. We want to vaccinate also right after that all the frontline workers in the tourism industry, so that then the tourists can feel safe to come to Belize. These are steps that we need to take to be able to open up Belize, the economy, and get people back working as quickly as we possibly can. But I also must take pause right now, Gavin and Marlene, that I think today is 1 year when we first started to speak about COVID.
Yeah, it was declared a pandemic.
Have the pandemic, and I need to take time to express my deep condolences to the families that had deaths. We had over 300, I think, over 300 Belizeans that lost their lives to COVID. Let us never forget that and forget the families that are still going through the pain of losing loved ones, and all of us had some, either a family member or a friend or an acquaintances that lost their life to COVID. We should never forget that. But we are going to do our best to do everything possible to defeat COVID. But please continue to wear your mask, continue the social distancing, continue to be washing your hands whenever you are out in public. Don't let your guard down, because that is what I'm afraid of. That Belizeans will say, oh, we don't defeat COVID, we're down to less than 100, and then, we could go out without a mask, and then Easter is coming on. Please, when you go out for Easter, for those that are going to be going out to the beaches or inland and visiting people, families and friends, please wear your mask, be safe at all times.
And can we, is there any development on perhaps the issue of opening of the land borders, or is that something that's on the table for now?
Well, personally, I would hope we could keep the land borders closed, because the minute we open, everybody will go to Chetumal or go to Cancun or to Playa. And when we do it, when it's closed, people are staying here. But what we're doing right now with the Minister of Tourism and the Minister of Immigration, looking on how we can open the land borders so that people can come into Belize very easily. We've done it at the airport. We can do the same thing at the land borders, and we're working on that. And hopefully soon we'll be able to make it easier for people to come into Belize, to visit Belize, either by air, by water, or by land.
And before we close off, because you did start the conversation with it, and we have to touch it because it's a very important issue. When we talk about the COVID pandemic and the issues that have unfolded when it comes to the Director of Health Services, currently there isn't a Director of Health Service well, I should say, Dr. Marvin Manzanero is still the Director of Health Services, but there are ongoing issues there. Prime Minister, do you stand by the actions that have been taken by your Minister of Health in how the DHS position has been, and this whole debacle has played out?
I stand by the decision. Now, we could have taken a different approach or a better approach, but the decision was the right decision. Look at the facts. Dr. Manzanero was the DHS for some time now, and he was the person at the head handling the COVID spread. And he was unsuccessful to flatten the curve.
Well, can I interject there, because I've heard you say that before. I've heard you say that before, and in just being absolutely fact-based here. One of the things I think that seems to really annoy the public is how two very well-qualified public servants are being pitted against each other publicly in a political game. And the issue here is that while Dr. Manzanero was the DHS at the start of the pandemic, he's also, if we go back in and look at when we were looking at the Ebola threat, he managed us through that. He also managed a pandemic at a time where no one in this world knew how to address it. And when you say that we didn't flatten the curve, in fact, I think it was for 4 months or 3 months where Belize had 0 active cases when the rest of the world was facing the first wave of the pandemic. So it's not accurate to say that we didn't flatten the curve, because we did have that period of being COVID-free.
You know why is it that, Marlene, I need to answer you in that.
You can't say you
I was a member of the NOC, and I challenge you on that. You know why is it that we flattened the curve at the beginning? It's because we closed our borders immediately. We had 1 case and we closed the border. It has nothing to do with Manzanero, Dr. Manzanero, or anybody. It's simply because we closed the borders and did not allow people to come in. Punto final.
But
that
yes,
is why
Prime
it
Minister,
happened.
I
And it was
understand.
not Mr. Dr. Manzanero that asked to close the border. It was not Dr. Manzanero.
Well, I
It was
wasn't in the NOC
that asked to
meetings,
close the
so
border.
I
So
can't
let's
say
get
that.
our facts right.
Well,
Marlene,
but the
please,
facts,
let's get our
but
facts
Prime
right.
Minister.
You are wrong, and I'm challenging with that.
Prime
That is
Minister.
not correct. But
Prime
let us
Minister.
proceed.
No,
let us proceed.
PM,
Let us, as I said, let me answer you. You ask me a question, and I will answer you. As I said before, I stand by the decision. We made the right decision to bring in somebody else. You have somebody that has been trying and has not been successful. He may have been successful in other matters, and I will never take that away from Dr. Manzanero. As I said, I personally like Dr. Manzanero. The point is that when we get in, the numbers were exploding. It was increasing way before the elections. So it's not about elections. From about September, you start seeing the numbers creeping up, and then they start to grow exponentially. We had to do something different. And so we brought in somebody, we brought in another highly qualified person that came in and got the job done. Now, could we have handled it? Could we have then asked Dr. Manzaneros to step down in a better fashion? Of course we could have. And that is what I said, that we could have handled it differently so that we would not have this issue at this time. But something had to be done, and we made the right decision, and I stand by that decision.
So when you say that it could be handled differently, does that mean that you don't agree with the current misconduct allegations?
Well, I don't want to go down that road because there is some serious allegations there, but I would not have done that. I would have simply told Dr. Manzanero, or have asked Dr. Manzanero, your time is up. We need to put you, don't become DHS for the rest of your life. When the UDP changed Dr. Pist, and they basically just gave him a kick in the butt. I did not hear you calling out about that, Marlene.
I wasn't on the show then.
When they kicked out Dr. Polanco, nobody said anything, but they went. They did not make a big issue. We have been speaking to Dr. Manzanero, well, we as a government, explaining to him, but obviously there some kind of politics have gotten involved, not by him, but by others, as to why we are where we are. But we are going to have a new DHS, and Dr. Manzanero continues to have his job. Dr. Manzanero continue to be covering all his salary, everything that he has as the DHS. It's simply that we need a new DHS that can handle this pandemic better. And Dr. Musa has done an excellent job at that.
Yes. And Dr. Musa is, having had experience with both of them, they're both very dedicated public servants.
Absolutely.
So I want to go back. I want to go back to just in the COVID vaccination rollout. You spoke of having tested for antibodies. You know that people were keenly paying attention as to whether or not you are going to get the vaccine. Talk to us about that decision and how you think that the public felt that they've not seen the leader of the nation receive the vaccination as yet.
I did not take this vaccination simply because I think that I would rather those that need it more than I. We've got a limited, if we were to say we'd have gotten 200,000 vaccines at a time, I would be the first one to take it so that I could encourage Belizeans to take it. But we had 100, we got 1,000. And I think it would be, immoral on my part to be able to be the first one to get it. The people from the Ministry of Health were asking me to be the first one to take it. And I said, no, I'd rather other people that need it more, our frontline workers and our teachers and our elderly, the people that are sick, that have underlying conditions, I think they need it more than I. Now, I am one of the lucky few that got COVID and was asymptomatic, and I didn't have not even a headache. And I am grateful for that every day. I took an antigen test, I think it was about a week ago or so ago, and it showed that my antibodies are very high. So why would I deny the vaccine to somebody that really needs it by taking it? So it's not that I'm afraid to take it. I'm prepared to take it, and I'm encouraging everybody to take the vaccine. But I think that as a leader, I need to think about other people before me.
And just as we close, on a personal note, you know, 4 months into the job, in one, as much as you may have campaigned and been working to be able to earn the trust and confidence to be voted in as our leader, I think without a doubt it's understood that it's an unenviable position that you find yourself in, having to lead us out of this situation. For you, at where you are now, what are your thoughts and feelings, and hearing the public outcry, knowing what's on the plate before you? What's your status 4 months in?
It has been a tough 4 months, and simply because apart from the financial crisis, we had 100-year flooding, a flooding that we not had in 100 years, that we had to deal with that. And then right after that, I got COVID. One of our members in the National Assembly lost his life, Dito Vega. So we had all of these other issues that we had to be dealing at the same time. But I am grateful for the confidence that the Belizean people have given me. And even more touched that a little over 3 months, despite the tough decisions that we're making, and we're telling the Belizean people of the tough decisions that we have to do to be able to get out of this crisis, that they came out and voted in historic numbers for the PUP. No party has ever won since independence with the majorities by the spread that we had. I mean, in Orange Walk, we won almost like 4-1, and all over we were winning by huge numbers. It shows that the Belizean people continue to have that confidence in our government and continue to have that confidence in me as their leader. I am trying my best to be honest with the Belizean people, to tell them the truth. But at the same time, that whilst I'm being honest and telling them the truth, I am showing a way forward. It will take some time. I wish it could be overnight, but it will not. And we're doing everything possible. So every morning I wake up and I thank the good Lord for my blessings, and also for wisdom to be able to make the right decisions in steering this country forward, and so that we can have a Belize where everybody can feel that they do have an opportunity. There's so much that can be done, and I am still very, very optimistic in this country. I believe in this country, and I believe in its people, and I have every confidence that 5 years from now, when you and I have this discussion, Marlene and Gavin, you will tell us, you know, you did a good job.
All right. Well, thank you for talking with us on your 4-month anniversary in office. And, you know, we appreciate you being able to share with the nation some of the updates. And on a personal note, congratulations. Today's a big day for you.
Yes, thank God. Well, we probably will be, today will be the day.
That you become a grandfather.
I'll be a grandfather. I'll be having, seems that I'm going to be having a granddaughter.
Yeah.
It's going to be Gavin's niece. They're pretty much our brothers. So I am excited. I think Gavin probably is as excited as I am.
Yeah,
but we look forward to that.
Well, congratulations, Prime Minister.
Thank you so much.
Once again. All right.
Guys, thank you very much, and all the best to you guys. Continue the good job, and may our God continue to bless this wonderful country of ours, Belize.
And with that, we are going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by representatives of Belize Water Services as they roll out their new amnesty program. So the details coming up after the break.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Congratulations to our Bellikin Papa Stopper winners today. Continue popping those stoppers out of Bellikin for a chance to win free beer, $20, $100, or $1,000. Papa Stopper!
Bellikin, the beer of Belize.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
If we are only as strong as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us, then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something, the Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. We are stronger together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
If it continues the way it is going right now, you would be surprised to see what will happen in the next 10, 15 years. We might have nothing left. And you know what? The Guatemala and they could go back home. Where do we have to go? This is our home. We have nowhere to go. So we need some help.
Reduce your risk of viral illness like the flu or the coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water or with an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing or sneezing with a tissue. Throw away, then wash hands immediately. Avoid close contact with anyone who has the cold or flu-like symptoms. If you become ill, please visit your doctor or nearest health center and share your travel history. A health and wellness message from your Ministry of Health.
And we're back. And if you're joining us now, we are just getting our third and final conversation for this morning started. And we are speaking with Belize Water Services, and they're telling us all about a very interesting program. It's an amnesty program, and they're going to be telling us all about what that means. So joining us for this morning's discussion, we have Hayden Brown, who is a Human Resource and Public Relations Manager from Belize Water Services, and also Mr. Alvan Haynes, who is the CEO of Belize Water Services. Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
And thank you very much for joining us. Shortly before we started, we were having a little discussion, and Marlene was asking, does this amnesty program mean we don't have to pay our bills? What are we talking about?
Okay, good morning again. The amnesty program really is geared towards our residential customers. Main focus are those customers who are in 3 months arrears and more. Really, the program is geared towards looking at our recovery of customers. We know that the pandemic has hit our country severely and has economically disposed a lot of our customers. And so in it really is a platform for us to offer a level of relief. We know the importance of water to our customers. It's a socioeconomic good, and so it really looks at partnering with our customers, offering them a sense of relief, but at the same time, it allows the company opportunity to recover a lot of, well, like I said, the arrears. It also aims at providing, we have, on the other hand, we have customers who are diligent in their payment. It also offers them a small rebate of 5%, and that is for residential customers only. So it's aimed at residential customers, and for those who are in arrears, the assistance program provides a means for them, whenever there is a payment that is made, there is a rebate of 10% that is going to be applied. Of course, there is always that caveat where it's not just an open-ended thing, but customers who are interested in the program would need to reach out to us through our customer services staff and provide the proof for us that there are some level of economic hardship. So it's the kind of thing that, you know, we want to, like I said, it's really to provide that help to those persons who are having difficulty. I mean, you know how many Belizeans lost their jobs and are without jobs, and so it's a company really showing its humanness in reaching out to those persons who are, you know,
struggling
in that dire situation. So in a nutshell.
Go ahead. I was going to ask about, you know, coming to this decision. It's you know, you had the best precursor to be able to really talk about where we are with the economy and some of the ongoing challenges. And when we dive down into the family level, we know that people are making tough choices as to what bills they're going to pay, what bills they can pay. And so clearly we're looking at a situation where you need to have the services paid for. What's the discussion that was ongoing internally for you to lead to this point? If CEO Haynes wants to take that up, and the number of people that you're finding in arrears.
All right, sure. Quickly, BWS has, fortunately, was performing very well before COVID, and that put us in a fairly strong position at the start, so much so that at that time, the company granted the government $1 million in cash to help with the government's COVID assistance at the start of COVID. And we had also put a 25% discount on all residential customer bills for those with usage of 3,000 gallons or less, which cost us about $500,000 in revenue. However, as has happened across the world, as COVID really hit and was sustained for the following months, water companies across the world were being asked to not disconnect water for non-payment, because obviously part of the COVID protocols is sanitation, constant hand washing and proper sanitation. As a result, since last April, we now have some 8,000 residential customers who are significantly in arrears, that is 3 months or more in arrears, out of a base of about 50,000 residential customers. That is obviously fairly significant. But the discussion, it was simply that we need to try to reach these customers to offer them assistance for the arrears assistance, which is the 10% on the 3 months and older arrears. There is a pre-qualification, that is BWS representative will talk to customers to try to get clarify what their exact financial position is, and that's just to avoid customers who might be able to pay but just have not been paying. The overall thing is that we want to help those customers. This program will only run for 3 months, but for those customers that are significantly in arrears like that, we're willing to sign them onto a payment plan that can extend for much longer, and will also maintain the 10% as long as they keep to the payment plan monthly payments. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm interested in hearing the so, you know, understanding that water was crucial in the sanitization efforts when you talk about the COVID-19 pandemic. So you have been you're always an essential service, but even more so under these current times. But it's not that you haven't been without your own challenges. The floods that we saw, in fact, we know had effects on water supply in different parts of the country. Did that also come at an expense for BWS too?
Yes, we have had our challenges. In fact, we just recently fully restored the supply to Benquevejo, where we had water mains that was bringing water across the river had been significantly damaged by the floods, and then affected by subsequent flooding so that we could not repair. We had a number of issues with the sources in San Ignacio and Belmopan, the Roaring Creek intake, as we call it.
Yes.
And obviously these have all come at a cost to the company, as well as whenever there's flooding, there tends to be damages, some caused by washouts, some caused by works to restore drainage, etc. And of course, the other part is that our revenues have been hit. Our biggest customers are the hotels and resorts within our service area. And as we all know, tourism basically has taken a nosedive, so that portion of our revenues has been lost for all of those months. And we, like everyone else, are hoping to see tourism rebound so we can kind of get back on track. It's worth pointing out that BWS has been providing quality services and supply, right? For those people who travel, they will probably realize that the service is on par with the developed world, right? And certainly far ahead of most third world countries. And all we are trying to do our best to maintain that. Obviously, we don't have the option to reduce supply or to cut off sections of the system. Most businesses can reduce their activity.
Yeah.
We don't have that option. We've got to continue providing to all service areas at the same level of quality.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to ask customers to do is to just put in their bit, contribute their bit by paying the bills to help us keep that going.
It sounds like a pay what you can system. Of course, it's worth noting, though, that the fact that you have people in so many months arrears means that you've been not disconnecting for some time. Of course, I'd imagine that's not sustainable in the long term either.
Is that right?
Certainly, that's indeed one of our concern, and is one of the many other reasons why we are pushing to partner with our customers. Collection is an important part of what we do, and for us, we certainly that's why we have also, like you mentioned, we have extended the customers, or given the customers the flexibility to pay over a period of time. Because we know that despite our best efforts, sometimes people cannot come up and just make that huge payment, and so we welcome that person who would be willing to come in and sit and talk with us. But in terms of sustaining what we do, is significant to us that we do have our collections efficiency improving because of all the other things, some of the things you have mentioned in terms of the hit we took with the damages and so on from the flooding and other things. These things all impact us in significant ways, and for us to continue to not only what we do today, but to expand our services, because while we are doing what we do for those who are on the system now, there are still those who continue to plan and progress their lives and wanting our services to be extended. So as a company, we need to be able to find ways and means to get all of these things done. And like Mr. Haynes had also mentioned, we have, before COVID, we were doing so good, to the point that we don't try to depend on others, but to be self-sustainable as a company, and to be able to carry our own expenses and even expansion projects and things like that. Sometimes the government would partner, but under these conditions, it's known to all that everybody, including government, are struggling. Cash is a main challenge for everybody, and so it's one of the things that BWS will continue to do and we think and just do everything we can to get as much cash as we can for us to continue to offer these very important services to our customers.
So the criteria for the assistance with the arrears, or arrears assistance, that's what you call it, is that you would have had more than 3 months in arrears, but you do also have to have proof of your economic hardship. What type of proof can someone provide?
Well, we know that some individuals, when they were relieved from their employment, they had gotten letters. So that would be something to say that they're no longer employed. We also have been partnering with the Ministry of Social Development. We know they have a program in identifying the individuals who are high risk or at risk in terms of the poverty line or not having employment. And so, we're looking at different ways to gather information so that when individuals come along to us, we're able to match certain things, if you may, with the information shared. So those are some of the things that we are looking at. But one of the things certainly is just verifying their employment and whether or not they're employed or not. No, that's one of the biggest area. And then if they are employed and even, making less, then again, we look at something that is affordable and not extending people beyond their capabilities. So that's.
And so it's a 10% rebate on payments made, and also the opportunity to have a payment plan that may go beyond 3 months too.
Yes, it definitely, in the first instance, we are prepared to go even up to a year. And like we say, we will be flexible. If somebody, is committed to something and they show their ability to make payments for 14 months or whatever. We just want to be able to not put any other hardship on that person that is willing to partner with us, So it would put us in a better place collection-wise, and it puts them in a good place also to know that they don't have that arrears hanging over their heads.
Or potentially losing access to the service at some point in time.
Right. And if I may add, the payment plans are totally interest-free. One of the things we definitely don't want to do is to have to send people to money lenders or where they're borrowing at commercial rates or higher, just to be able to maintain their utility. So part of the condition is to just verify what amounts they would be able to pay monthly, bearing in mind that they will still have a regular monthly bill coming in. So they would be looking at an additional amount on top of their regular bill that they can afford to pay. And the customer service reps will walk them through that and make sure that they're comfortable with the payment plan amounts, and then they will extend that payment plan to suit. If it needs to be extended longer than normal, they would get permission from the customer services manager. But like Mr. Brown said, we're looking at standard 1 year, but we can go beyond that where there is enough justification.
And just a question, if you had already seen people coming in kind of wanting to negotiate, understanding the financial situation a lot of families find themselves in. Were you already seeing that?
Yes, we have. In fact, before we started this program, when we had about a month ago, when we had put out a notice of our intention to start disconnecting, we got a number of people. So about 3,000 out of that 8,000 or so people in areas had already contacted us in some form. A few of those actually said, well, I have absolutely no income, so I can't pay anything, but most of them were willing to come to some kind of arrangement, make an initial payment, etc. And we have also asked the Ministry of Human Development if we can send people to them who are saying, look, I have absolutely no income, so I can't pay, to see if there's any government assistance that might be able to help those people in any way, not just with their water bills.
No, that's such a telling situation, the idea of people coming in to try to secure this essential service even if they don't have an income. So, of course, the flip side of it, because you don't want people to be advantageous, is that you are still encouraging people who can pay to pay in full and pay in full early.
Yes.
Yes, we are. Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Oh, yes. I was just saying that, we also recognize that group of individuals, like we said, as a part of our launch, to recognize them and also to give them that discount, that we did on their payment. And so we really, really want to, thank them for their commitment to maintain, their payments to their billings. They're indeed a great part of our ability to continue to do business, and we really, really appreciate their payments and their commitments.
Okay.
And if people or some of our viewers may be watching right now and they want to find out some more information or want to contact BWS about getting onto the program, how is the best way that they should do that?
I believe our contact details are on our flyers and social media. We have all our 0800 numbers. We have all our WhatsApp contact numbers by district listed on our press release that we had sent out. It's on our Facebook page. It's on all the other social media mediums, and so it's there. It's also on our website, and so people can reach out to us through these mediums, and certainly we will be responsive with those. Visit any one of our offices countrywide, and again, we will be there to serve them.
Yeah. No, I think as I read the details of the program, it seems that your team there definitely took some time to consider the challenges that Belizeans are facing right now, and it is, to be clear, only for residential services. So, not that you had a business and you couldn't pay a bill. It's only for people living in households, right?
Yes,
that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
It's targeted at residentials, and just for clarity, the rebate on early payment for those customers who are making their regular payments is a 5% rebate if you pay your bill in full 5 days or earlier before the due date, and that's an automatic rebate that will be processed within a few days after the payment. So for those customers who pay their bills early, they will just see a rebate credit on their next bill. Right? There's no need to apply for that one. It's only the arrears assistance that needs to be applied for.
Well, gentlemen, kudos in being able to meet the needs of the Belizean people. I can't say that much. So for the 5,000 people who are at home concerned about whether or not they'll be able to maintain a water supply in their homes, they now know they have an option to go in and try to work out a payment plan through your arrears assistance. Thank you so much for telling us all about it.
I want to just plug an important part of is the conservation aspect. We didn't mention much about that, or anything on that, but it's one at a time to. This is part of the year when water becomes a challenge, and so we also ask our Belizean consumers to be considerate, not to waste water, use it wisely. Despite all the other challenges, right? So. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that reminder. You're absolutely right. It's not that hot yet, but that time is coming up very quickly. Yes. So thank you and stay safe.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. And you heard from BWS all about their amnesty program. If you are interested, you can contact them in any of the several ways which they've just shared. And with that, of course, we are going to be taking our final break, and when we come back, we're going to have our wrap-up. So please stay tuned.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety. And we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Why, Tony?
Why, Keith, what are you going on, man?
I actually come see you because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing that thing since April 15th, you know. And I just ran out of the last batch, must have been like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? What are you going on?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
Es un hecho que puedes obtener servicios ilimitados con Smart. ¿Cansado de que se corte la línea cuando más necesitas estar conectado? Es un hecho que cuando te suscribes al plan de Smart Plus, obtienes llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Y también es un hecho que te puedes suscribir con un grupo de 5 miembros al plan Smart Share y hasta 40 miembros al plan Smart Enterprise para llamadas, textos y datos ilimitados. Smart tiene los verdaderos planes ilimitados. Es un hecho. Sé Smart y vive de forma Smart.
And we're just getting our show wrapped up this morning after a bunch of great conversations. Of course, we kicked off our program and had our pretty extended discussion with the Honorable John Resenio, the Prime Minister. We talked about a range of national issues that have been at the forefront, and we also spoke about some of the plans that the Prime Minister and his government have to continue to steer us through some difficult times, both related to the economy and, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic. So we want to say a big thank you to the Prime Minister for coming in and sharing all of that with us this morning.
Yeah, and of course, as we mentioned in that conversation, the ongoing conversation or discussion, I should say, about salary cuts is ongoing. We know the Belize National Teachers Union sent a memo yesterday saying that they are not accepting the cuts. They're asking teachers to wear the green. They're going to start to explain their position. So that's something that we are going to be actively following. And you can look out for that in our newscast tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we want to thank BWS. I have to say, you know, there's a heaviness that I feel when I think of people who are struggling in our country at this time. And we don't often see businesses be as innovative as we are seeing now with BWS, who recognize a few things, that they are at the point that they cannot continue to sustain services where people aren't paying, but instead of just moving to disconnection, they are now allowing for payment plans, and basically you just come in and talk with them and show that you are no longer in a financial position to pay a bill or struggling to pay it, and they will work out something for you. And this is the type of example that we need in many other businesses because people are struggling.
No, absolutely. And it is encouraging. And of course, we do understand that businesses, they have their own expenses. They have to keep their own lights on. So it's difficult on both sides. But it, of course, comes in the context of, you know, all of the adjustments that people have had to make due to the pandemic. And it is encouraging, at least, that people are still able to offer services. And water, of course, is essential. It's basic. And we're seeing that, it's great to see, as you said, a program that's as innovative as this, and that can really offer some much needed relief. Once again, the program that BWS is offering is to residential clients only. And in that vein, we know that that's where, you know, a lot of households are experiencing a lot of difficulties. So a program like this is sure to offer a lot of relief for several who may be struggling at this time.
So if you are in arrears, you do have to contact the office, or you can go there and find out how you can be a part of the arrears assistance program. They're saying that the payment plan can be spread out to as much as a year, or based on what you can be able to pay towards your outstanding bills. And then on the flip side, for those people who have been paying, don't get any ideas, the reward on that end is that if you pay earlier than your due date, I think it was 5 days?
Yes.
Yeah. If you pay earlier than your due date, there is an automatic rebate that will be
10%.
returned to you. So, you know, an incentive to keep on paying bills there as well. But thank you to BWS for letting us know all about this program, but that's all the time we have for today.
Yep. And if you want to contact us, you can send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYEBelize.
And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.